Hi, I'm Doug Massey, and this is my fourth video about how to use IXL. This one is mostly for teachers and for parents, and it's a video to show how you can use IXL to give online assignments to your students. So there are two main ways to use IXL in your classroom, and the first way is to use the diagnostic arena and the diagnostic action plan for students to go in, let the computer determine their level of ability in a subject, and then try to work on kind of like below grade level skills as remediation to bring them up to grade level. That's the first way. The second way is for teachers to choose assignments that they want to present to the students in a particular order. And then the students can work on those. They can get immediate feedback from the computer for problems that they miss. They can take their progress from their mastery from 0 up to 80 or up to 100 in those skills, and they can have a good idea about how well they're accomplishing the goals that you've set for them. So I've recorded 3 videos prior to this. The first one's just an introduction to IXL. The second one describes how to use the diagnostic arena, and the third one describes how to use the assignments. And those are all from a student viewpoint. So this one's from a teacher viewpoint or from a parent viewpoint if they're using IXL as a parent. So I'm going to show a few different ways that you can kind of search through IXL and find what would be appropriate for your students. I've seen most of these different ways used by different teachers. Different teachers have different preferred ways of making these assignments and presenting these assignments to their students. That's totally fine. You can just kind of like look through them, maybe watch the video a couple of times and decide which one suits your preference. Okay, so let's start. This is the start screen. The way that I like to try to find skills is by clicking on learning right up here at the top, and that takes you to this screen. And there are a few different ways to find skills that you might think are appropriate. Let's pretend we're a 5th grade teacher. We can go down to 5th grade and click right here and see all 440 skills. That number is going to change over time as IXL adds and removes skills to their list of skills that are available. So let's say we're working on multiplying fractions, and you want to work your classroom up to the point where they're working on word problems. So you get to this page, and sure enough, they've got just hundreds and hundreds of skills all listed out. And they're grouped by category. And the easiest thing to do that I found is just to use the find function inside of your browser. So that's just Control F, and you can search for multiplication. And sure enough, section C is all about just multiplying numbers. That's not exactly what you want. But over here, sure enough, section M is all about multiplying fractions. And you can look at these and you can read the labels to see what it is that you're looking for, or you can hover straight over the words like this, and it will show you an example of the problems. And you can stay over you can hover over the words, and it will cycle through 4 of the problems. Or if you want to say, hey, wait, I want to see that last one, you can click right there on that circle, and it'll hold on that circle. So let's say that we're looking for multiplying fractions word problems. Number 21 here, M21 looks like a pretty good example. And you look at these and you say, that one looks really hard, but these seem like appropriate level skills. So from here, you've got a couple of different options for being able to say, hey, student, I want you to work on this specific skill. You can either go over to this star right there, and if you hover over it, if you have multiple classes that are available to you, maybe multiple sections, those will be available for you to assign to just to those sections. If you were to click right there on these little arrows on the side. That would show you all of the students inside the section in case you just wanted to show to assign to particular students. I'm not going to show you that right now because I don't want to reveal any student names. But usually, you're probably just going to say, hey, I want to assign it to everyone. And you can just click right on that star right there, and boom, I've just assigned it to absolutely everyone. If you decide, nope, I don't want to do that after all, you could click on that and it goes away. If you wanted to assign a sequence of skills, let's say 15 through 21, you can totally do that. You could click on each of those stars. I will say that the way that these skills are going to show up for your students when you star them like this is they will always take the most recent thing that you've starred and add it to the top of the list for the students. So if you were just to click like 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, right through that list, they would actually show up with 21 at the very top and then 20 below that because they're adding the most recently clicked skill to the top. And unfortunately, that means that the student's going to see the last skill that you clicked first. So you don't want to just go 15 through 21. You would probably want to do them in reverse order. You click this one first and then get out of the way. Then click on this, then click on this. Oops, I missed it. This, etc. And then they're going to show up in the order that you wanted them to on the student screen. Okay, so that's one way to find skills to assign. If you're not sure whether or not these are exactly the skills you want, a great thing to do is to dive in by clicking right on the words, and it will bring up an example of the skill. So from here, you can look at the problems, see if they match what you want your students to be doing. You could also put this up on your whiteboard on a shared screen with your students, and you could work through these problems together. If you could draw on the screen, you could show the students how you want them to be drawing these out on paper. You could work these together as a class or as small groups and then come back together with the answer. And then the goal is going to be for each of your students to work this skill up to 80. The SMART score goes up to 100. I've always found that 80 is kind of the appropriate balance between the amount of time that it takes to do the skill and the depth of knowledge that the skill reaches as you're working through these problems. Because as the score gets higher, the problems will get more difficult. The amount of time that it takes to get from 80 to 100 is a lot, and it can prevent you from getting to other skills that you want to work on. So if you click submit here, you find that you get your 10 points, and then it goes on to another problem. Since you're signed in as a teacher, you're doing this as a teacher preview over here, and that allows you to jump ahead and see more of a depth of knowledge for these type of questions. So if I click right on this little arrow right here, it's going to skip me forward to like the 50s level. So this assumes that we've done a few more problems. And now maybe the fractions get a little bit harder. Maybe they start using more complicated questions, changing up the order of the operands. I know it doesn't matter in multiplication, but just making it more difficult and varying the way that the questions are presented. So from here, I hope that's 3/10. You could do that again, skip ahead to another level. This is past the level 80, and now maybe the problems will get more difficult. They're not always all more difficult than the earlier questions, but presumably if we do a couple of these, we'll find ones that start to get a little more difficult. So this is 9/40. And so you can tell that the fractions are now getting much higher than some fifth grade standards would have the denominators get. Okay, so let's go back to learning, just so I can point out another way of getting to the same sort of skills. Another way of doing it is so here we're learning and we're math and we were on grades, let's now look at topics. Because if we look at the topics, you'll see that now we're obviously not aligned by grades, we're aligned by topics. We've got 453 fraction skills. And you may find that, especially when you're starting with a new topic, that maybe you want to do some prior grade level skills. So here's fifth grade skills. I'll bet those M skills are also going to be listed here. Sure enough, here they are. M21 right down here. That's the one that we were just working on. So you could get to that one either way. And maybe you'd find, well, let's see if they've got anything in fourth grade. So we'll scroll down to fourth grade. And now multiplying fractions. You know what? Let's do a search. Multiplying fractions. And what do we have in our fourth grade? Sure enough, we've got this whole section of S that maybe gives earlier versions of multiplying fractions in the fourth grade standard. There's fourth grade, right? Where am I? Yep, fourth grade skills. And I'll scroll up some more. Do we get any of that in third grade? We don't. So that's kind of how you could lead into fifth grade multiplying fractions by maybe looking at some fourth grade skills. Another way of presenting these, no, let me come back to that. So a third way of doing this is next to topics, you have skill plans. And this is maybe applicable if you're using one of the kind of nationally recognized skill plans that IXL aligns with. So here's all sorts of different skills that skill plans. Let's look at investigations, fifth grade. And here, do we have any multiplying fractions in here? Well, we don't, but maybe that's, oh no, sure we do. So, well, where is it? I don't know. So looks like it's, nope, that's multiplying regular. This is multiplying output tables. Do we have fractions down here? Sure we do. So same sort of thing down here. You can find whatever section that you're working in and find skills that are directly applicable from there. And just like before, you can assign them straight from here. So that's another way of trying to pick out skills that are applicable to what you're trying to teach. One last thing. Well, it's not the last thing. Who am I kidding? If we look at learning up here at the top, and instead of going math and one of these three options, you can go over here. I'm a North Carolina volunteer, so I have North Carolina standards enabled for me to take a look at. So if I click on this, it's going to bring up North Carolina standards. And now if you know exactly which standard you're working on right here, they're all going to be listed out for you, and you'll be able to find skills that are applicable for those standards. Unfortunately, you can't assign them directly right here. So you would either have to remember or write down kind of like, this is fifth grade, section C, 16. You could write down that skill and then go back, assign it in the other spot. Or you could write down the three-letter shortcut right here, CKE in this example. Every skill has a three-letter shortcut. That makes it easier for you to be able to jot down the skills that you're working with. And I addressed with students in the third video that I made how they can use those three-letter skills to find the skills that teachers are trying to assign. So that's going to work for all the different subjects, and you'll be able to get to skills to assign in all of the different subjects by going, instead of to math, going to language arts, science, or social studies. One last way to be able to assign things to students is if you have a single skill or a list of skills that you want students to work on, that three-letter shortcut that they have up here, you could just write down on the whiteboard or send in an email or a paper handout. You could just have a list of three-letter codes right here and have the students search for those codes up here at the top. You saw the one I was hovering on was NEK. And then sure enough, that's the matched ID skill, NEK. That was the skill right here. So they'd be able to just click straight on that, and it would take them to the skill. So these methods of being able to choose skills and then to assign skills to students, either by skill, by starring them, by giving the three-letter code, or even by just telling them, hey, kids, we're going to fifth grade math, and this is the same path that students could take. They could click on learning, and then 5th grade math. And you can tell them, hey, we're working on, you can see here where I tag some other skills in number theory. We're just going to go work on skills 19 through 21 under section M. And then the students would be able to find them the same way that you found them, because their learning tab looks very much like this. I hope that helps. If you have any questions about this, please ask questions on the YouTube video, and I'll answer as many as I can.